You're about to listen to a brand new episode of the Foreign Lady podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. Now, let's get to the episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Foreign Lady podcast. I'm your host, Liz.
And the bottom line?
And we are back with another episode. On today's episode, we are going to be we're talking about what is going on in this country, man. Jimmy Kimmel has been suspended indefinitely from his talk show for comments he supposedly said about Charlie Kirk and the person who assassinated him. And then we're going to talk about Ayesha Tyler. And no, not Ayesha Tyler. Ayesha Curry. Oh my god. I was like, wait, that is not right. There is an actress named Ayesha Tyler.
Who's very beautiful, by the way.
Very beautiful. She's gorgeous. But no, Ayesha Curry. We're going to talk about her and some of her comments that she made about being married to Steph Curry and where she thought she would be in her life, and what it's like being the wife of an NBA legend, basically. So all this and more on this week's episode. So, as always, how are you doing? How's your week? How's everything?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling really purposeful with what I'm doing with my main job and also my side employment as well. Both of them are very fulfilling. Gives me more of a reason to wake up every day and make a difference.
Doing good. This past week was a good week. I'm really excited. Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. Just work.
Well, well, hold on, because now you know you said you sent your firstborn off to college now.
I did. I did.
So it's kind of like you back to being a free woman.
I am back to being a free woman.
So there has to be an upside.
Yes, there is an upside, but there's also a downside. So if you didn't listen to last week's episode, go listen to last week's episode. I am officially an empty nester. I sent my one and only baby to college, and now I'm having to figure out what is next for me and what my life looks like now. And it is great because I fill my days with whatever I want. I'm not reliant on a schedule, or my schedule isn't wrapped around anybody's schedule or anything. Like you said, officially a free woman. But with that freedom comes, what do I do? But I just have to figure out what I'm going to do with myself now. If I'm going to, have some gentlemanly folks around, or just hang out with the girlfriends and the ladies, or whatever. I can do whatever I want.
Either or, go on vacation,
Yes, go on vacation, do whatever I want.
You've done your societal requirement, raise a child, sent them off
Thank
into
you.
the world, and hope they make a difference.
Absolutely. I have done what the Lord Jesus Christ told me to come do on this earth. I have fulfilled my duties. I procreated. I sent the seed off into the world. I have done my bit. I was just talking to one of my friends today. We went to work out, and I was telling her, like, the older I've gotten, is like my knees are starting to get crunchy. Things are starting to like hurt, and I'm like, I cannot imagine like being a mom to like a brand new baby or like a toddler at this age, because I'm like, I don't know if I have the patience or like the strength to be running around a kid anymore. But then on the flip side, it's like, like maybe, and I'm like, no. I think I've done my bit. I go back and forth sometimes when I see babies, and I'm like, maybe, but then I'm like, nope, I've done my bit. I'm done. I'm great. I'm ready to live my life.
You know what's funny? The thing is, like, as you get older, you do, of course, start to feel it. But I think you feel it when you actually stop being active. Like, I noticed that if my day is jam packed, the energy comes, and I don't think about what my body's going through. Like, suddenly that surge comes through. and I can do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's you're so right because when you are in like go 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 mode and you constantly have things to do, it was, play dates and football practice and this practice and going to PTA meetings or taking him out to entertain him or going to Legoland for the 10th time or whatever it might be, right? You're just constantly moving and going. And now that I'm a little bit more settled and as busy anymore, it is different. It is very different. I think slowing down is different, but I'm trying to like find things to do and find other ways to kind of keep myself busy and yeah.
Yeah, because I think like for my own mother, right, who has a few grandchildren of her own, I do think that grandchildren keep grandparents alive because it gives them
Yeah.
something to do. Now they have something to look forward to, wake up, something to smile about. Even if the kids are yelling all day, it gives them something to talk about the next day. Like my grandkids are driving me crazy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because even the grandkids themselves can keep their mind off their other thoughts and worries. And I think that's really good, at least for grandparents,
Yeah.
to stay active and
Well, hopefully I'm not going to be a grandparent for a long time. We've had that conversation. I'm like, at least wait till you're 40. 40 is a good age because then that
what?
way
What?
because I'll be when he's 40 I'll be 60, so it's like okay, good. I'll be a good grandparent
I mean, think about it. Like,
because
if he,
I was a young mom, so when he starts having kids, like let's say he starts in his even in his 30s, right? I'm still gonna be a young a young grandmother, so I'm like, wait till you're 40. Give me till you're 40.
I would say that if he does begin early,
Yeah.
let's say 25, it will give you time to actually see maybe your great grandchildren. You might live
Yeah.
long enough to see them. That'll also be a blessing too. And I would say again, he should do it when he's ready, And the thing is, whether it happens when he's 25 or 40, you will still be a grandma, and you can still be involved in the way that you want.
Yeah. Oh, I would be a fabulous grandma. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
Like, I would be the coolest grandma ever. I
yeah.
would
Like
spoil
imagine
them
just
rotten.
yeah. I think it's great to imagine one day living long enough to see your great grandkids and being able to give them stories and tell them about the podcast you had and what it was like. They're gonna ask you, "What was Trump like?" Like imagine those questions. They're like, "You were alive during that time?" Yeah, I
All
was.
right.
Like that's gonna be insane.
Yeah, that'd be
Like at some
cool.
point,
That'd be so cool.
yeah.
Because I remember what my mom was like with him. Like, for a long time, he was the only grandchild on both sides for like over a decade.
Wow.
So I definitely remember like that boy could get away with anything, like anything. I wasn't allowed to like spank him or discipline him when she was around. Like she was like, "Don't touch my grandson," and just spoil that boy rotten. And don't even get me on like his grandma from his dad's side. Like she would like they would just pamper this boy like he was the king of the world. And that's how it should be. Those that's what grandmas are for. So yeah, I'm excited for that chapter, but again, hopefully it's way down the line when he's ready. Yeah. All right, shall we get into our topic?
Definitely.
All right. So for I mean, this is basically what people are talking about for the past like week is the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. Jimmy Kimmel's show is officially suspended indefinitely from ABC. Disney owns ABC, and they suspended him for comments that he made regarding the shooter of Charlie Kirk, which I went back and watched the video. So when I heard about the suspension, I went back to try and see if I can figure out what he said. And for the life of me, I literally watched that like monologue like 5 times and I could not figure it out. I'm like, what did he say exactly? And it wasn't until like I started watching more news and information about it that I saw what he said, and I'm like, I totally missed that. And basically all he said was that, you know, the right side is shocked that the shooter was apparently one of them.
Yeah. I tried to look for this. I thought I was expecting something really offensive, really
So was
like
I.
crossing the line. Didn't find it. I mean, not enough to be canceled. I can see how some people might just be feeling hurt because again, somebody lost their life. They're probably thinking, don't even bring it up. But the way I saw it was that he didn't bring up the shooting itself,
No.
but Trump's reaction to it. That's what he seemed to be focused on in my view.
Exactly. And that was what he focused on. And one of the things he also, you know, he focused on was when the reporter asked what he thought about it, and he literally just went off on a tangent and started talking about his new ballroom. So
Yeah.
like that was all he was pointing out. And then I did a more deeper dive, right? And now I'm like, okay, this is taking more, because apparently there's a merger happening. So the FCC is involved, and the FCC commissioner came out and basically just threatened Disney and said that, you know, the conglomerate, the companies that carry the Jimmy Kimmel show in other markets, apparently it's called the company's called Nexstar, and they're going through a merger because they have a merger going on and they need FCC approval, and they are the largest distribution company that, you know, distributes ABC content like the Jimmy Kimmel show. So this is all very kiss the ring, right? Like, you say anything
Hmm.
negative about, you know, the master and you get punished for it. And this is basically what it is. First it was Stephen Colbert. And again, that whole thing had to do with FCC and the power that they have, because Paramount is also going through a process of a merger, and they want that to go through, and that needs FCC approval. And so they canceled the Stephen Colbert show because he talked about I think it's $20 million that Paramount paid to um, the administration for I think it was the 60 Minutes news or something regarding Vice President Kamala Harris, or former Vice President Kamala Harris. And it's just, I don't know how to feel about this. When we start, like, even talking about this now makes me nervous, because I'm like, are we even allowed to talk about this anymore? Like, is our freedom of speech just like completely gone? I don't even know I don't know what to think.
Well, they came up with a question. They were interviewing Trump when he was, I believe, in London. And a reporter asked, is freedom of speech in danger in America as it is in Britain? So we could see this becoming more of an international problem where there's censorship happening. And overall, it's just a danger. People are comparing it to Roseanne, which are two different things. But I didn't think Roseanne deserved to be canceled. I thought that you could just apologize and kind of move on. However, in this case, when it comes to Jimmy Kimmel, Trump did have a hand in this. The Trump administration did have a hand in this, and that's what makes it a violation of the First Amendment. As opposed to Roseanne, it was the people who didn't like what she said. The people were like, this crossed the line. And if they decided to keep her, people had a choice not to watch the show and it sort of canceled on its own. As opposed to Trump canceling it, that's to me is an abuse of power, because government is supposed to protect those rights, because those rights the government can't touch. Those are innate.
Yeah, and it's the First Amendment for a reason. We are allowed to have freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and that is what separates us from other countries, is the fact that we are able to hold people in power accountable. That the government just can't tell people what to say, how to say it, when to say it. And it seems like that is slowly unraveling in our country right now. And it's a scary, scary thing. And it's a scary thought to think about, that the government can just tell people and tell news organizations what to say, when to say it, or can cancel them because they don't like what they said about leadership.
It's crazy because obviously the right has always been against cancel culture. There's clips of Donald Trump saying, he will protect free speech, no kinds of censorship, and so his whole campaign has always been this guy who says what he wants when he wants to say it. He says it without apology. And mind you, he made a comment about the Democratic couple that was attacked.
Yeah.
Like the husband was, I guess he was hit over the head and he
He
asked,
talked about Nancy Pelosi's husband. He made fun of
yeah,
that too when he was attacked in their home.
yeah, he said, how's her husband doing? I mean, like, that to me is definitely crossing a line, but I haven't, no one's like tried to punish him over it. As
The
no one's tried
government
to
shouldn't
punish
be
him
able to do that.
the way that he's reacted to Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah. I mean, it's all look, I've said it in the beginning. I knew that once he got in, it was going to be a petty tour. Okay? Everybody that ever went after him when he ended his first term and he wasn't president for that 4 years. I knew that when he is the moment he got in day 1, the pettiness will come out. And I don't know why anybody else didn't see this, but I knew it was going to be a revenge tour. Like, it literally was going to be a revenge tour. And that is what we are seeing. I mean, he's going after everybody that ever came after him before. He's going after, Letitia Wright, the New York prosecutor, the one that brought the case against him regarding his family for the fraud. The attorney general for Virginia had to resign because he wanted him to find anything to charge her with. And since he wasn't willing to just make up, fictitious charges, he was like, I'd rather resign than get fired. And he literally said he's going to find somebody who's going to come in there and do what he asks. Like, he has surrounded himself with people who would do whatever he wants them to do to get revenge on anybody that ever came after him.
They have definitely made like a clip of this on the Daily Show where they show clips of the people surrounding Donald Trump and they're just like praising him for like everything
Did
he does out of
did
like
you see
fear.
did you see the latest episode with Jon Stewart?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you haven't seen that, you got to go see that episode. It is hilarious.
No, it's just funny like to see people constantly be in his presence and they will praise him at every turn as if they are afraid to say anything else. That's not the kind of presidency that we should have. I always was told that, if you're in a position of power or leadership, you should have advisors willing to challenge you or make you see the other side. You can't have all these yes people around you because it makes you believe you live in a world where you're always correct.
That's the difference between, I think, the first term and the second term. The first term, at least you know, he had people who can sort of reeled him back a little bit. People who were still had a little bit of dignity and integrity, and who were like, "Hey, you can't do this, you can't do that," and who weren't just willing to bend to every whim. I think this time around it's a little different because he completely surrounded himself with people who will do whatever he says, and if you don't fall in line, then you're out. And that is what we're seeing. Like, he's always hated all of these these late night hosts. He wants all of them gone. Like, anybody that has ever made fun of him, he wants all of them gone.
I have to admit they do come hard for him though. They do come hard.
I hope people understand and wake up. Even the right. I hope they are starting to they understand that this isn't the way to go. Censoring people is not what we need to be doing. We are allowed to express ourselves. We are allowed to say what we feel and what we express, and we're allowed to say our opinions without feeling like there's going to be repercussions from the government. I'll say that. But if you just are talking reckless, yes, you're allowed to say that, but there are going to be other consequences for things that you say. That's why they even say hate speech is protected, right? Yes, you can say it, but there are going to be other consequences, just not coming from the government.
Yeah, because like the way I would always understand it when it comes to free speech, it means like the government can't just throw you in jail because of what you say.
Right.
However, you can't just go around saying anything thinking there's no consequences. You can't go around accusing people of a crime they didn't commit and ruin their life all of that off of that allegation. And if you have no evidence for that allegation, that person has a right to take you to court for defamation. That's how it works.
If your employer doesn't like what you say, and even now, like we talked about it, where employers are looking at people's social medias. I mean, they've been doing this before, but it's happening more and more now based on what, recent events, and people are getting fired, people are getting laid off. And again, you are allowed to say whatever you want to say. There are going to be consequences in that department, but my understanding of free speech is I should not be scared that the government is going to throw me in jail because of what I say.
And let me say unequivocally, I love my president. I love I love my president.
He is the greatest.
He's the greatest.
Tan is awesome. His chunky legs are fantastic in those shoes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. All right, we're moving on before we get in trouble.
Before, if we're getting in trouble, it's because of how much we love him and are
Yes,
loyal.
we are so loyal, okay? Very loyal. Anyway, we're moving on. All right, let's talk about Ayesha Curry.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I first saw what she said so she was on the Call Her Daddy podcast, and the conversation came up regarding, what it's been like for her being married to Steph Curry, and she has said some things in the past. Remember when she said that she wishes she got hit on more? Do you remember that?
She was saying, I don't think she said it exactly like that. She
So
was
that's what she
like,
said. She said she wishes that more guys would hit on her.
she says she wishes they would come up to her as much as they come up to her husband, as much as like the women might come up to her husband, because she feels that because she is Steph Curry's wife, men know not to come up to her in that way. So,
Same thing.
right. So I took it
But
as, like she just wants to feel like competition, basically.
at first, I was like, all right, do we have another Jada on our hands? Like, it just came like this woman cannot shut up. But then I kind of sat with it a little bit, right? And I try to put myself in her shoes, and I'm like, okay. So this is what she said on the podcast. They asked her, what it's like being the wife of one of the most famous basketball players on the planet. And she was like, she wasn't expecting it. The life that she has right now was not the life that she thought she was going to have, because he wasn't like this great player in high school. Like, yes, he was great. I think he was like, I don't know what number he was, but he wasn't like first round, second round, or even third round pick for the draft. She said that he told her that he just wanted to be a high school basketball coach. That was like his goal. And he went from, what people think would be mediocre to changing basketball, and fundamentally just being one of the greatest.
Yeah, they said like the top three has made the most shots in
He is,
NBA history,
yeah, he's
apparently.
a legend. And she was like, I was expecting to be the wife of a high school basketball coach. I wasn't expecting to be the wife of the most famous basketball player on the planet. And she said that, she was expecting to be the breadwinner in her home. She wanted to have the career. She wanted to be that girl. She feels like she wasn't able to do that. I don't even think she finished college. So basically, like, the career and the life that she pictured for herself isn't what she has right now. And so a part of me was like, okay, you are Ayesha Curry. You literally have whatever you want right now. If you want 10 businesses, you get, like, she has a restaurant. I think she has like a cookbook. Like, she has things that she's doing. So it's not like she doesn't have a career. I'm like, you want a career? You can have a career. You are Ayesha Curry. But then I'm like, on the other hand, I get it. I get it always being Steph Curry's wife. I get it always, it comes, with the territory of there's always going to be hoes hanging around. There's always going to be girls hanging around. You're always going to be seen as like, just the wife, or not having like your own identity. So like I'm trying to like understand where she's coming from, where it's like, women, even if our husbands aren't like, a Steph Curry status, we are still constantly being compared to who our husband is. It's like, oh, this is so and so's wife, or this is that's so and so's partner. Like we just feel like we want our own identity, right? And I can totally relate to that because um when I was dating an ex, I completely felt like I didn't have my own identity. I felt like I was constantly just his girl or his woman, and everybody that surrounded us and knew us just was like, "Oh, this is blah blah blah's girlfriend," and I'm like, I have a name, like I'm my own person, and so in that aspect, I was like, I completely can relate to that, but then also I'm like, girl, you like shut up, like why are you complaining, like why are you I'm not saying money fixes everything, but if you want a career, you can have a career. Like you can make a name for yourself if you want, if that's what you want. Like, what do you think about all this?
I mean, there's a part of me that doesn't understand. You kind of really want your own identity, your own space. But again, you got to ask yourself, would you have made it this far without a Steph Curry? And the
Exactly.
thing is, would
Like
you?
people were like, you were on this podcast because you are Ayesha Curry, because you have the Curry last name. If you weren't
Right,
who you were married to, like no one would be checking for you.
right. And, let's say you married somebody other than Steph Curry. Who's to say you still wouldn't have those feelings anyway? Like those feelings wouldn't come up somehow, some way. I mean, there are millions of women who would trade places with you right now. They'd be okay with just being Steph Curry's wife and being taken care of in every other way. They would not complain. However, again, I can't judge because for you as Ayesha Curry, there might be things that are more important than just having a name. So I would hope it's not her intention to sort of put down or complain about her situation, but she does remind me a lot of Michelle.
Oh my God! You know
She
what?
does
First of all,
remind
can
me.
I just say, Michelle Obama is like we don't talk negatively about her
We
on this
not
show.
talking negative.
Okay? So if it's gonna be a negative comment, you better suck that right
It's
back
not a
into your
negative
mouth,
comment,
okay?
but
Second, I was just going to Michelle Obama. I was just going to compare, but go ahead. Let me hear what you have to
I
say.
would never
Remember,
talk bad about
don't you
Michelle.
don't you spoil that Michelle Obama's name on this show.
I love Michelle.
That's right.
I love her. However, when she said that for 10 years she didn't even like Barack, I mean that kind of stung.
Oh my
That
God.
kind of hit home. And it's not something I could just forget so easily.
But that's okay. But that's the thing, though, right? Michelle did do all of that stuff. Michelle had the career, right? She went to Harvard. She had the big career at a big firm and all that. So she did the thing. But again, people still look at her as, well, that's Michelle. That's Michelle Obama. That's Barack Obama's wife. Like she's still tied to his identity as former president's wife, right? And so I'm like, even if you would have had those things, Aisha, like even if you would have had that career or whatever you wanted, people will still see you as Steph Curry's wife. It, like, unfortunately, that's just the world that we live in. Like even comparing, like Michelle is her, it's in her own right, is she's a queen, but people still see her as, oh, you can't talk back about Barack because that's Barack and blah, and it's like, yeah, we know that's Barack. Okay, we know that's Barack Obama. We get it,
It's
but
just to me,
it just feels like women can't express how they feel without them feeling, without people thinking, oh, they're just like ungrateful, or they can't talk about their husbands like that. And it's like, it's okay to feel a certain way. It's okay to feel that.
it's just funny to me because right now it seems like this trend is only happening with the sisters. It just seems like they're the ones, so far who got something to say.
You know what? I can't.
I'm not
I don't
hearing
want to
these sort
say it's
of.
just the sisters, okay?
Have you heard of any other conversations by women from other groups have these complaints?
I can't think of one right now, but I'm sure there
right?
has been.
I see they. I'm sure they have the same feelings, but they probably know how to keep it more discreet, keep it to themselves because they understand there's something bigger going on. There's a legacy we want to keep here. We don't want to do
Yeah.
anything that tarnishes it. And again, I don't mind the honesty, but throw in there once in a while, oh, I still love my man though. That's okay. I'll accept it. Throw in there every once in a while, like that he's done things for you no other person has done. Off of that, you can, speak freely. But it seems like when these conversations do come up, it's like it naturally rubs people the wrong way.
It does. It really does. I think she talked about like how when they were younger, like she was the it girl and he wasn't, nobody was really checking for him like that. And then, then him turning into like this legend or whatever, and then her having to be like a mom really early on. And again, it does rub people the wrong way. That's why they were comparing her to Jada. Like, girl, just shut up. Like, why are you talking? But it is okay to feel that way, right? Because even if you are married to a successful man, sometimes we do want our own identities. Sometimes we want to feel seen, but at the same time, it's like the only, I hate to make this statement, but it's like the only reason your people know who you are is because of your husband. I don't know. I feel like there has to be like some kind of balance, right? Don't you think?
Of course, naturally, there has to be some kind of balance. But again, that again has to be something you talk about with your husband. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I also assume that there's a party that really enjoyed the life that kind of you know you put your identity aside for that comfort because something tells me that you were okay with the vacations, the expensive dinners. You looked at the lifestyle and was like, okay, well, I could be a mom for now. And then time passed and suddenly you weren't as satisfied. Can I blame the husband for this? When he's done everything else he can, I really can't.
Yeah. Again, I've never been married. I've never been in that situation. I'm not, dating a famous man. So I don't know. So I can't say that I understand what she's going through, or can understand how she feels being in that situation, but at the same time I'm just like, it does sound a little tone deaf, and it does sound a little ungrateful. But again, I don't understand the wanting your own identity piece of it, but yeah.
I do think it comes down to say wanting to be, say, the prize, like when she said like according to you, you said that she wanted to be hit on by other men or something like that.
Yeah, she made a statement saying that she wished she could be hit on by other men, but because which, by the way, if you're a married woman, why do you want to get hit on by other men? That part never, like, I didn't understand that part.
I'm gonna have to like go back and find out the exact words because there might be some
I'm
context
gonna
to
see.
that.
That's what she said. I'm gonna.
But if that's what she said, I feel like that's come from a place of, she wants to make sure that she's competing. Like she's, like because if other men are hitting on her, it reminds Steph that she is a prize,
Yeah,
that he does have something. And I feel like that's what she's really trying to say. Like, okay, like I'm not just your wife, and of course, like in comparison to him, he's done so much. He's clearly a prize on his own. Like, imagine if they get a divorce, his life stays the same,
yeah,
if
yeah,
not,
yeah,
if it gets better. Like he gets like he at that point can have another Ayesha Curry or more. But she probably couldn't say the same if they separated. Like her life would not be the same. Like she could not say like, "Here's something I can hold on to." So I think her saying, having more attention from men just would remind Steph that she's a prize worth keeping, worth fighting for. And I would hope that's all she meant.
yeah. Well, basically, she said that she's jealous that men don't pay attention to her like women pay attention to stuff.
That's exactly how I remember the quote. And again, like, let's be real. Like, Aisha, you are a beautiful woman. The only reason men aren't coming up to you is because you are a married woman, and you're not married
And
to just
people
any
know who your
guy, but
husband is.
people know who your husband is. So they're probably not going to try to play that kind of game.
I think it's different for women because look, women can be shameless, right? Like women don't care. In fact, for some reason, it just seems like if a man is married, they're more attracted to him. So I think it's different for men than women because I don't, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think men actively hit on women they know are married.
We don't. That doesn't. We don't see that. You don't become more attractive being married to another guy. That doesn't do anything for us. Because for men, we're mostly gonna want a woman who's freed up. Like you being a married woman means you've already got a priority. You've got somebody else you're thinking about. We kind of want, you know, if we want to call you up, like you free? Can you make yourself available?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like married
Yeah,
women
so
can't
it's
really do that.
very different. But I think for women, we see it as, oh, we want what she has.
Yeah.
We see whether it's money, security, whatever, right? We're like, damn, I want that. And we are very much willing, or some, not me, very much willing to be a side piece or, a mistress or whatever, just to get a little piece of what the wife has.
You know, it's funny. That's what my mother told me. Way back when we would have those kind of talks between mother and son, and she said, "Yeah, there's some women that will do that."
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to get a little piece of, safety and love and whatever it is that they're looking for, they are more than willing to be someone's, side chick. But I think it is completely different for men where I don't think they want a woman that is, tied up in a situation.
Nah, no, this is
So,
definitely true. Men, we're not really looking to like get involved in it. If I see a ring, my whole demeanor around you is gonna change. I'm
right.
gonna talk to you like you were my sister, my mother, that kind of thing. It will, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure it's not easy for her to have to see all these women hitting on him and wanting his attention and all that. So it's hard, but
But hey, at the end of the day, you got him, sis. You got
that's
him.
right. You got him. You got him locked down. They've been married for a long time. They got what, 3 kids now. So look,
Yeah.
girl,
Don't
enjoy
fix it
your
if it ain't
life.
broke. Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
Exactly. Like, stop creating. This is what I'm like, yo. Stop creating problems where there's no problems. Like, why are you talking? Like I wish a lot of these women would be more like Savannah James. You ain't never seen Savannah talk about nothing, okay? She is enjoying her life, enjoying her family, enjoying her man, and you don't hear her complain about nothing.
And she's a beautiful woman too. I mean,
Yes, she is.
she is, she appears to be a very fit woman. Looks like she still looks very youthful. Like, so it seems to me like
But she
they
ain't got
have
no
a great
stress in
relationship.
her life.
Yeah.
Yeah. She is not bothered like by any of that, and you have not heard her come out and speak out about anything. So I just wish more of these women would just stop talking. Like, even if you feel it, talk to your therapist about it. Like, why you gotta share it with the whole world? You know you're gonna get backlash from it. Just so stop talking. Don't be like Jada. It's not cute.
Did you see recent pictures of August Alsina?
No, I haven't.
Well, as it turns out, he plays for the other team, as it
No,
looks
I know
like.
that. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I know that. Oh yeah, you just finding this out?
I mean, like, I think we were all always suspicious. I never really followed the guy, but then there were pictures of him kind of the way he was definitely positioned with this other guy.
Oh yeah, he came out and said it that he's batting for the male team now. Yeah, yeah.
I was like, okay, like
Must have been that bad that she. That's what people were saying. She did a number on him that he swore off women.
that's insane. I mean, when I say insane, I'm talking about like that's like soap opera drama to me. It's like watching a soap opera play out in real life.
Yeah, that was
Like you could make a movie off of the life of Will and Jada at this point.
yes, yes. That's crazy. I mean, goodness that I guess after her book came out, we haven't seen more of her. I don't think I will ever look at them the same anymore. I'll never look at their relationship the same way again. But anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to just talk about like not just why it seems like when someone passes away, all of a sudden we're trying to rewrite history and rewrite the things that they've done in their life when they were, you know, this happened with Hulk Hogan, and now this is happening with Charlie Kirk. And it's like when someone passes away, it's sad. And especially if they pass away in a very untimely way like Charlie Kirk did, which is just completely horrible and horrific, and no one should ever that should never happen to anybody. Hearts go out to his family and friends and people who cared about him. But I'm looking at it like if it was a person of, if it was a black person or a Latino person or anybody other than white that was prominent that passed away, would this man care? Now people are trying to glamorize him, think he's a saint and should be the 13th disciple apparently, and just all these things that are being said. And it's like, sure, I didn't really follow him that much. I've seen some of the things that he said. Same thing with Hulk Hogan, where yes, he was this great larger than life wrestling fan. I'm a huge wrestling fan. You cannot have wrestling without Hulk Hogan. But the man said some really saying the N-word, audio of him yelling at his daughter for dating a black man, and like all of this and things that he did in his life. And it's like, yes, were there some good parts? Sure. But there were also bad parts. And it's like, why do we automatically just erase all the other things that they've done that were negative and just pretend that none of that ever happened? We don't do that for, I think you mentioned it at one point, we're not doing that for Epstein. Like you said, I'm sure there's, there might have been good things that he did when he was alive.
Yeah.
But we're not celebrating him.
Exactly.
Same
right.
thing with Hitler. I'm sure Hitler did some really nice things. He probably help some charities in his life. I don't know, but we're not over here celebrating him.
So the funny thing is that we do remember people. We don't forget the worst things that they've done. That does go on their resume, and whether we like it or not, the bad things you do, they count a lot more than the good thing. And so we're trying to romanticize other individuals, and that creates a double standard.
It does, because we don't want, like, I just want us to be honest about it, right? There's, we're gonna have two different camps who thought what happened to him was horrific. We all know that it was horrific and terrible. And people want to focus, well, he was a man of faith. He was a man of, this. And it's like, sure, he could be a man of faith. But I'm still trying to figure out what part of the Bible says you need to be a bigot and a racist. I'll wait.
Well, that's the part. That part doesn't matter to them. It's not that they don't know the things he said. It's just that it didn't hurt them. It didn't affect them. He represented, the ideal America they wanted, which is an America that favors people who look like them, people who believe as they do, and anyone else, well, that's your problem. So it's easy. Yeah.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say it's easy to romanticize somebody when you know they were fighting for just your values. They were just fighting for you. They weren't fighting for anyone else. And you could tell because when he would talk about people on the other side, he would talk about it in a way that was humiliating. That was an insult. People would say, well, he's speaking the truth. Well, you don't have to be hurtful when you do it. There's people out there that will, imagine me going up to somebody and saying out loud, you're poor, I want to help you. That's not me helping you by putting your business out on front. That's me humiliating you. That's me finding a way to make fun of you and then running back and saying, well, I'm just trying to be a good Christian. No, like nothing about being a Christian requires you to humiliate.
I think I'm having trouble with the whole like faith-based part of it, because even the Bible talks about being aware of false prophets, people who claim to know the word. And I think it was like literally, like I think it was just yesterday I went to a women's church event, and one of the things that was talked about was being aware of false prophets in the world, and people um you know who claim to know the gospel and the word, but they're using it and twisting it for their own, for their own, like, selfishness. And it's like as a Christian, I don't like when other Christians use faith as a way of, how can I put this delicately? I don't like it when they use it as a way of treating other people badly. Again, there's nothing in the, at least the religion, that says that we should treat other people with disdain, or we should talk about other people in a disdainful way. Like I think I'm just still trying to wrap my head around it. Like, how can people glorify this person? Again, we can all agree, like, two things can be true, right? We can all agree the way he died was awful, but what he said and what he stood for was not great. He was not trying to unite anybody. In fact, he was part of the problem of division and dividing people, dividing us.
Yeah, the biggest way I could think about it is, when he named 4 black women who in combination have degrees from Harvard and Princeton, and said they don't have the brain processing power to compete, that they had to steal from a white person. He showed me all I needed to know about him. It didn't matter what he said afterwards, what scripture he quoted. I know you cannot be for me. You cannot want me to have the same things in the world as you and say that. And a lot of people will say, well, he didn't say black women. Well, he didn't have to. He only named black women. And then on top of that, he said they stole a spot from a white person. That lets you know it's race based, because he didn't say they stole it from somebody more deserving, somebody more intelligent. He said they stole it from a white. So he is thinking in terms of race. And then what he is saying is being heard by the people that were chanting white men fight back the day after his loss. See, now when that group is also crying for your death, it lets me know we're not on the same side. And from what I'm understanding, there are groups around the world where recruitment has gone up, as far as, the white replacement theory and defending white people all over the world, like 27 chapters or something along those lines. And I heard of it off of a news channel, but I believe it. Like, that's who was hearing him too. And so he doesn't have to be specific in his hatred towards black people or people of color. And he doesn't have to be specific for the people that hate us to understand. And that's what I want people to get. Like, he doesn't have to be specific. He just has to say it in a way that the people who truly hate us, they understand, because they're already thinking that way too. And when they see a person like Charlie Kirk talking about it, they're like, yeah, yeah, even he sees it too. So we must be right. We must be correct. So when your passing brings about that kind of reaction, where people are on the street chanting white men fight back, then you were therefore never about unity. Your words were meant to divide. You can miss me with that whole you're misquoting him context. No, because the people who hate us, they got the message. So I really don't want to hear anything else. And the other thing I would say is that if you can romanticize the Confederacy, give them statues, name military bases after them, all kinds of places of honor. If you can romanticize people who betrayed the country, who wanted to leave it so that they could keep slavery, well, I can see how you can romanticize a person like Charlie Kirk too. I can see how you could put them in the best light possible, because if today we're still seeing the names of Confederate generals on military bases, Yeah, now I can see how you would do the same for anyone else who thinks like.
Do you think a lot of these people, do you think a lot of these people go, say some of these things and lean towards the right because of money? Because a couple years ago, I mean, he was a college dropout making like 20 grand a year. And then he started this Turning Point USA, and he's making, upwards of six figures.
Yeah,
Same thing with, people like Candace Owens. Do you think that some of these people kind of lean towards that audience because they know that they can say all these things, and they can raise their profile and make more money with that audience, and they don't really believe a lot of the stuff that they say? Or do you think that this is just genuinely who they are and what they believe? Because I feel like, to me, I feel like some of these people might genuinely not believe all of these things that they say, and it's just a money grab. Like, they just say it because they want to, they want to get, have the audience, and have the money and have the endorsements and all that, and they probably don't believe half the stuff that they say. But there are some that genuinely believe half of this crap.
I think they're willing to go with anything that gives their audience the upper hand. Because I do, like with Charlie Kirk believing in the white replacement theory. If you believe in that, then of course you cannot believe in unity with people like me. You can't believe it. You see us as a threat if you believe in that theory. So you're gonna go with anything that supports that theory, even if it's not really necessarily true. And so I say that because if they were trying to be fair, they would talk about the shooter and where he grew up. Because
Because if this was any other, if this was any other race, they would be all over this. Like, they would find things from when he was a baby. Okay, I mean, look
mhm,
how they talked about George Floyd. If this shooter was any other race, and let's just be honest, the press would be all over him, all over him. But honestly, I don't think I've seen that much news about him, to be honest.
well, they have to. The thing is, because as the Utah governor said for 33 hours that it wasn't one of us, but somebody from another country. In other words, he was saying that he hoped the enemy was whoever he conjured up. Whatever the right conjured up, that was the enemy. It would be a person who was un-American and a person of color, and therefore they could now pour all of their hate or their vitriol and violence onto whatever they imagined. And when it turned out that the shooter was not what they imagined, they had to reassess. And I feel like in that moment, that's what the Utah governor did. He had to reassess, like, okay, maybe we're not the good guys after all. And so the media ever since has just kept it on how great Charlie Kirk was, because they don't want to make it about the shooter, because that's like looking in a mirror. Because the shooter had the upbringing that you guys had, the same parents and everything like that. And when they do bring up the shooter, they're talking about how his recent years, like as though somehow whatever he's done recently um undid his entire upbringing, which I refuse to believe. I refuse to believe that, whatever you were doing the last few years just undid your entire upbringing as a person.
Like, it's very scary, sometimes, because I'm just like, we're only 10 months into this, and we have 3 more years to go. And I don't know, just watching the news is just so depressing a lot of the times, and I don't even want anything to do with it, because it really is scary, all of it. And I'm trying to be optimistic, and I'm trying to stay positive, and try to still believe in the good of humanity, and believe that there will come a time where we're not just so divided. Sometimes it's hard to understand, and it's hard to think that there will be a time where we are just not, like, identity politics is just not who we are. But it just seems like that is who we are right now. And it's either you're on this camp or you're in this camp, and there's no middle anymore. And we are just, and it doesn't help that we have leadership that constantly tries to pit us against each other and tears us apart and constantly wants conflict. Yeah, it's a scary time.
I will say this: I do want to say that when the shooting did happen, and President Trump's reaction was that this was just the radical left before we had all the details.
Yeah.
And to me, that's unbecoming of a leader because you have to be the voice of reason. You have to at least wait until we know
But come,
more
I mean, did you
about.
expect anything less?
But that's where the problem is. I don't think I've seen a president do something like that. Usually, they're trying to put out the fire and tell
He
everybody, "Hey,
is
hold
pouring
on,"
gasoline
before.
on it.
Yeah, he pours gasoline. You have a responsibility to calm things down. To look at things through a voice, to be a voice of reason, and that wasn't what you were doing. You fed into these people's fears and beliefs. I will say this: that the shooting did expose what a lot of them are thinking, and they look through the world through a lens of that side of the political aisle. They're the bad guys. They only see us for how bad things can get. And I will say we also do the same. We see things how bad things get when we look at them. I do believe there is more of a middle ground where we do agree, but there's also areas where I feel for those on the extreme, there can never be peace. Like some of them on that extreme end, the far right, you're just the villain. Like you can never want equality with me. Like some of these clips that you'll see when you talk to them, they'll say like only a white Christian male should be president. And for you to say that means you don't want equality because there's no way you could say that you just hold the presidency to that standard, but you don't hold it the same way for the military or businesses or schools. Like you're gonna want that same leadership everywhere. That only you get to lead and tell the rest of us what to do. And that's not freedom. That's dictatorship.
Yeah. Do you think there's another civil war coming? A lot of people think that, and I
I
think
don't
you've mentioned
know.
it in the past too.
They've been saying that, but it's always people on the right who are always saying that they want another war. But again, at this point, what will be the fight for? Because when the shooter turned out to be a white male,
They didn't
who are
get
you
what they
gonna
were
fight?
hoping for. Right.
They didn't
Right.
get
Right.
they didn't get what they wanted. So who would you? What would you be? Yeah, what would be the first shot fired over? I think that was like a real disappointment for a lot of them. They were
Yeah.
truly hoping that
Yeah.
we were the bad guy they had imagined us to be. Turns out we're not. That the call came
The
from inside
call.
the house, you know, and now they have to like reassess. And to me, when situations like that happen, sometimes it's best not to say anything. Just kind of let we don't need to say anything. You guys got to figure that out.
I really want people to not let all of this that's happening like deter or change us from being good people. I really, really hope that there comes a time where we are able to come together and say that this is not okay. What we're seeing right now in our lifetime is not okay. And this is very un American of us. And this is very un American what we are seeing. And I do hope that at some point that, we the people do stand up and say, no, we want better, and we need to stop, you need to stop pitting us against each other. And it's okay to have different viewpoints, it's okay to have disagreements, but it's not okay to be, a racist, a bigot, all of that, because that's not, I don't want, people say, well, that's not who we are. And it's like, well, this country was built on unclean foundation.
Hmm.
We can do better. And but then again, we put ourselves in this situation because we did not want to elect a black woman. It's true, you know.
You know what? Maybe we should do an episode that talks about any positive things that Trump has.
I'd say that'd be a very short episode. The only one that I can think of, and I don't know, and a lot of people say this, and I don't know why he's not taking credit for it, would be the COVID vaccine.
Hmm.
It's called Operation Warp Speed, apparently.
Hmm.
The fact that he did give us a vaccine in less than a year, in like a couple months, that's a good thing. But now, he put in a walking. I had something to say. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say it. But the head of Health and Human Services is he's on this whole vaccine kick, and now it's like he wants nothing to do with vaccines and all that, and it's like, dude, that was what you did. Was even though you told us to go inject bleach.
He did say that. That shocked me. That shocked me so much. I felt like that was like, you don't even have to be a science major
Even
to know that kind of thing.
even though you did tell us to go do that, to be fair, you did ramp up the vaccine product for us to have it. And I don't know why he's not taking credit for that. But other than that, we could try.
Because sometimes you want to make sure that you're not, like,
Yeah, I totally
after
get
the
it.
events, yeah,
Yeah,
after those events of the shooting, you kind of want to ask yourself, am I being biased?
right, right.
Because if
You're
we
right.
think the other side is set in their ways, I have to ask myself if I'm the same.
Absolutely. And I always say, like, we got to be careful that we don't become the thing we hate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. We'll definitely do. Maybe we'll do that for next episode and look at some of the good things that we can say. Because you're right. 72 million people did vote for him, regardless of his conviction. All of his many flaws. And I think that's what I've been trying to understand is why did people vote for him, knowing everything that he is. Why? And it has to be more than he's going to increase the price. He's going to decrease the price of eggs, which
Hmm.
the price of eggs is gone. Is still up. So it's not that, but I think that's what I've been really trying to grasp and understand. Like, it has to just be people didn't want a black woman. It has to be more than that because I
Well, I
really
think
choose
that
to
was the
believe
main
that
reason.
cannot be the only reason.
Because let's be honest, if she were a white male, she would have won.
Let me ask you a question. Did you notice that both times he ran against a woman? Do you think if he would have run against a man, he would have won?
I think there's a very good chance he would have lost.
I mean, he lost against Biden.
Yeah, like I think like you definitely have people set in their ways, and this could be a talk for another time. But there's like people like, have you heard of Pete Heck?
Yeah, Pete Heck. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Department of War dude.
but yeah, so he is part of a church with Doug Wilson as his pastor, and they don't believe women should have the right to vote.
Mm.
So when you tell me where some of
Yes, I
your
remember that. I think I've seen a little, like I saw like a NBC night Newsline, not Jesus. Why am I butchering the name? Is it Nightline or Newsline, whatever? But yeah,
yeah,
I know what you're talking about. Yes, yes.
yeah, so when some of our leaders have that kind of belief, well, they definitely aren't interested in seeing women in leadership, no matter how qualified they are. And that really sucks because it's like if you think that of women, I can only think of what you think about me or anyone else. Like no matter how hard we work, you're not going to give us a fair chance. But you also want to take away DEI, but you don't understand why DEI exists.
But
It's
you're
to
a
thwart.
DEI-er as well. The only
Yeah,
reason you got in there was because of who you are.
right. Like you want to thwart anything that puts us on equal footing. So it's very unfortunate that, you know, no matter how hard you work, you're not going to get recognized. And let's say you do get ahead, they're just going to say, well, it was DI anyway. It's such a way of undermining our achievement.
All right. Well, that is the end of this episode. Make sure you support the channel on YouTube. Make sure you listen wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on social media at the Foreign Lady Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, we appreciate you listening to this episode. Go back and listen to all the other episodes. They're great. I promise they're great. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Foreign Lady.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate, like, and subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast.
Follow us on social media at The Foreign Lady Podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
Email us at theforeignladypodcast@gmail.com. See you next time.